This is WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
From WCCO Television News, this is Morning Report.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us on this snow-filled November 19th edition of the Morning Report. I'm Bill Carlson, and of course, weather is the top story this morning. Winter has returned with a vengeance. It even flattened the dome, believe it or not. That's in addition to a night of accidents, power outages, and very busy snow crews. It's also been a very busy night in our weather center. Dan Carlson is here to tell us how it all happened and how long it's going to last. Dan?
Well, Bill, we have a traveler's advisory in effect for the Twin Cities right now. If you're on your way to work this morning, you're going to want to allow plenty of extra time because the road conditions are rather slick. It started yesterday evening. Radar replay has been active. We've ran it through now since you last saw it on the 10 p.m. report. As you can see, the snow area is confined pretty much to that vicinity within 60 miles of the Twin Cities. Rochester and St. Cloud each reporting less than a half an inch of snow, while here in the Twin Cities we have 8 inches on the ground. A live look at Weather Watch Color Radar shows that the area has expanded. There is some rain mixed in with the snow, a little bit of drizzle down in the southeastern part of the state. As a result, we have traveler's advisories in effect for the southeastern part of Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, northern Iowa, and the eastern part of the Dakotas as well. There is a winter storm warning out that includes much of the state of Wisconsin with 4 to 6 inches of accumulation expected there. Our forecast for the 5-state area for today calls for snow over the entire region, temperatures in the 20s and 30s. They'll even be falling throughout the state of Iowa. So our forecast looks something like this. We're looking for a traveler's advisory this morning, cloudy and windy conditions, snow diminishing to flurries by this afternoon. High of only 35 degrees, the overnight low at 17. With those north winds at 15 to 30 miles per hour, our wind chill factor will make temperatures today seem from 2 below 0 to 10 above. So it is going to be a very cold day, and the flurries will be ending tomorrow, followed by decreasing cloudiness as the cold period continues. We'll take a look at the national weather systems affecting us in a few minutes, Bill.
Okay, Dan, thank you. We'll be back in a few moments. You know, Minnesota motorists get their first encounter today with winter driving conditions, and in spite of the difficult weather, Dale Dobish coaxed the live eye into the sky. I would suspect that allowing a little extra time is the rule of thumb for today, Dale. Hurrying will not be an option, right?
Well, I believe that's probably quite true, Bill. We're out over, up in the Roseville area right now, looking at the intersection of 35W and 36. You can see, actually, traffic is moving surprisingly well this morning, Bill. I think the Minnesota Highway Department and all the city and county snowplowers were out last night in full force and have things in just excellent condition for the conditions that we have. And you can see traffic's moving along, as we said, surprisingly well. We only have one condition reported that's stop and go, and that's 35W northbound, just this side of the Minnesota River. And that's pretty much a normal situation, even on good days. So right now, no accidents to report, no incidents, and things are moving, as we said, surprisingly well. I think just a little bit slower than normal, and I did notice in some of the side streets that they are not plowed. So, but the freeways, major highways appear to be in quite good condition right now for the continuing snow. So we'll keep an eye on it and get back to you in a few minutes.
Okay, Dale. Back with you in a few moments. Across the state, Minnesotans waking up to that challenge of coping with the season's first winter storm that we've been talking about. A storm that dumped anywhere from 7 to 8 inches of snow in the Twin Cities proved downright depressing at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. It didn't take long to get things back to normal, but for a time today, the dome was sagging very badly. A fire crew had to be called out to unplug some drains that had become clogged. That was just one of a host of problems that kept fire, police, and snow crews busy all night. Downed power lines presented one of the most serious threats throughout the night. Emergency crews were called out to help a bus that got wrapped up in some down lines early today at 28th and Bloomington. Those were just some of the lines that fell under the weight of that 7 to 8 inches of wet, sticky snow. Some 52,000 NSP customers were left in the dark by the power line problems. This morning, the entire city of Long Lake is reported without electricity. Last night, St. Louis Park and Hopkins were the main trouble areas. This morning, city crews, power crews, and the rest of us are just trying to dig out. A St. Paul taxicab driver will face more questions today from police in connection with the murder of Cassie Hansen. The 6-year-old Egan girl was found strangled to death last week after disappearing from a church service. The cab driver was questioned the day after the murder, and yesterday police searched his cab. Police said he had been imprisoned in another state for child molesting. So far, the man has not been arrested. Authorities in Chippewa County in Wisconsin are awaiting results of a ballistics test to see whether yesterday's suicide victim was the man who killed Flora Bloomer residents. 29-year-old Roger Johnson shot and killed himself in a farm field just southwest of Bloomer. He had been wanted for questioning in the shooting death of Wilbur and Lenora Deitch, their son Arden, and a hired hand, Lauren Stout. Dave Nimmer has more on that story.
Authorities got onto the suspect's trail yesterday morning after he had tried to steal a pickup truck from the farm of John and Pat Pecca. Deputies or police had suspect Johnson under surveillance the night before, but they had declined to pick him up because they'd not been told to. And then they lost sight of him until John Pecca spotted Johnson as he was driving across his cousin's farm.
So I went in the back field and looking for him. I drove by this pine grove, and here he was sitting in there. And I stopped by him, and me and Edward Prince, and he said that he wanted to talk to him. Well, and I looked at Edward Prince, and I says, "That's the guy," I said. And so I went down. There was a couple of cops sitting further down the field. I went down there. I told him, I says, "He's back there sitting in that pine grove, and he wants to talk to you."
The deputies used a bullhorn and told him to lay the gun down. He did not. And finally, he shot himself in the head. When authorities walked up to the body, they found a handgun and a shotgun, along with plenty of ammunition. In the past, Johnson had been arrested 3 times for disorderly conduct. There is at least one report he was angry because the Deitches were planning to evict him from their trailer park. With photographer Dick Nordling, Dave Nimmer, WCCO Television News, near Bloomer, Wisconsin.
A St. Cloud man is in the hospital this morning after allegedly trying to swallow the evidence against him. Police say when they attempted to arrest Mark Carl at Twin Cities International Airport yesterday, Carl swallowed what's believed to be a bag of cocaine. Police had to administer mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He was later booked at the Hennepin County Jail, then taken to the hospital. The prayers of teachers, parents, and school board members in Howard Lake as yet apparently have gone unanswered, or at least they didn't get the answer they had hoped for. Last night, a prayer vigil was held to ask for help reaching a settlement on their ongoing teacher strike. Negotiations started yesterday afternoon, lasted into the night, but at last report, there was no settlement. The striking teachers plan to open alternative classes this morning for all the district students as that walkout continues. Still ahead on the morning report, we may learn today whether the legislative special session will be delayed. President Reagan proposes a cut in nuclear weapons in Europe. It's slippery, sloppy driving out there this morning. We'll get an update on the traffic conditions in just a moment, and we'll check in again with Dan Carlson and find out how long those snowmen are going to stick around when the morning report continues.
If all you look for in a clothing store is low prices, they're not hard to find. But if you're looking for top quality clothing at extraordinary savings, that's another ballgame. And that's what Clothing Distribution Center is all about. Tremendous selection, famous brands, superb tailoring, luxury fabrics. That's the only kind of clothing you'll find here at Clothing Distribution Center. Shop us and get the fine quality clothing you really want at prices far below what you'd expect to pay.
This is not your ordinary house. NSP built it to test the effectiveness of a wide range of energy-saving ideas. Ideas like a unique octagonal shape that deflects winter winds, shuttered windows, and an airlock entrance. So far, the experiment shows that some of the ideas save energy better than others. And that's what NSP was looking for. Energy-saving information that you can use to get the most out of your energy dollars.
There's something better at Burnsville Center, something better for you. It's all the things that you can be, all the things you can do. There's something better, a whole lot better, something better at Burnsville Center, something better for you at Burnsville Center. Something better for you at Burnsville Center.
Monet the artist, Monet the jewelry, Monet the impressionist, Monet the lasting impression. For when you give beautifully handcrafted Monet, you give a gift as timeless as a fine work of art. Monet. He gave us his gift, and we give you ours. Give the gift of Monet, the most exquisitely affordable jewelry in the world.
We may find out today if the special session of the state legislature will be delayed. Governor Quee is scheduled to meet this afternoon with legislative leaders and discuss whether to push that session back later than December 1st. Quee is expected to announce his recommendation to deal with the state's budget woes sometime within the next 10 days. President Reagan can savor 2 more congressional victories this morning. Last night, the House rejected 2 reports to cut funding for the president's plan to build the MX missile and the B-1 bomber. Instead, after 9 hours of debate, the House gave President Reagan exactly what he had asked for. That victory on new arms buildup came just hours after the president called for a reduction in the number of nuclear weapons in Europe. In an address seen around the world, Mr. Reagan proposed that both NATO and the Soviet Union eliminate nuclear weapons from Europe. Members of Congress praised the plan, saying that it puts the sensitive issue of European disarmament in the hands of the Soviets. NATO countries also applauded the call for a reduction of arms on their soil, but the reaction at the Kremlin was, as expected, cool. They dismissed that address as a propaganda ploy. A group closer to home is unhappy with another phase of the Reagan administration. The Great Lakes Science Advisory Board says the federal budget cuts threaten to wipe out gains made the past decade in cleaning up the Great Lakes. The U.S.-Canadian group warned today that proposed funding cuts would result in a more than 50% reduction in Great Lakes research alone. The source of another environmental problem has been confirmed in the Brainerd area. A report has been released that says state employees dumped toxic waste near a well near Baxter, Minnesota. Mike Walcher has more.
A report by the Department of Agriculture found that DOT employees violated state law when they dumped a herbicide mixture. The chemical was dumped on this DOT storage lot in Baxter, just outside Brainerd.
The investigation confirmed that on September 3rd of this year, the machine used to spray the herbicide broke down. Employees of the Department of Transportation decided the only way to fix that machine was to dump out the chemical. And that's exactly what they did on this ground, a direct violation of Minnesota's pesticide control law.
The material dumped included 10 gallons of a herbicide containing 2,4,5-T, which in turn contains the dioxin TCDD, the most toxic substance known to man. And it was dumped 150 yards from one of Baxter's water wells. State officials say they don't think the water has been contaminated, but the leader of a local environmental group believes it could be because the ground here is sandy and porous.
It was my well and my children were drinking out of that water. I would make darn sure that the state pays for testing of that well, at least on a monthly basis, to keep this stuff from getting in there.
DOT officials were unavailable for comment, although the district engineer later said by phone the dumping was not a major problem and that no disciplinary action would be taken against the employees involved. Mike Walcher, WCCO Television News in Baxter.
Well, the snow continues to pile up in much of our area. Dan Carlson continues to keep track of that storm's progress. What's the latest, Dan?
Well, the latest, Bill, is, as I mentioned, diminishing to flurries later this afternoon. Maybe see a little bit of sunshine for tomorrow. Temperature-wise, well, quite a change from the 60-degree temperatures we were experiencing very early in the week, over the weekend to be more precise. You can see temperatures will only make it into the 20s over a large part of North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota today. We're looking for temperatures in the 30s over the remainder of the 5-state area, with the exception of extreme southern Wisconsin and parts of Iowa, where they might make it into the 40s. But as a cold front moves in that area, low pressure passing to the south will wrap around, bringing that cooler air in from the north, cooling them down as the day progresses. They've already hit their highs there today. Warmer air, of course, down to the south, as we would expect. On a satellite loop, well, you can see that large comma-shaped area circulating around a low-pressure center in northern Missouri. The wraparound effect, as I mentioned earlier, is clearly visible here as you see the clouds come kind of backwashing around the low-pressure area. As you can see, there's very little eastward movement. We're going to stay very cloudy throughout much of the day today and overnight into tomorrow morning, I would expect, with the snow continuing. There's another disturbance out in the Pacific Northwest we're going to have to keep an eye on for early part of next week, but this is the main weather producer. On a national map, we'll take a look at as to the precipitation that's going to be spread by the system. Showers and thunderstorms expected all the way from the Mississippi Delta area on up the Ohio Valley through the lower Great Lakes region and backwash around that, turning it to snow from Minnesota back down through western Iowa into parts of Kansas. They've already had some snow this morning as far south as Kansas as the cooler air with this high pressure center continues to sag down. And this disturbance out to the west has a little high pressure ahead of it that should clear us off late in the day by tomorrow. Taking a look now as to the amounts of precipitation. Snowfall back in the rear quadrant of this comma-shaped area. Rain out ahead of it, up to an inch of precipitation possible through lower Michigan, parts of northwestern Ohio, northern Indiana. Otherwise, 1/4 to 1/2 inch amounts are expected. Our radar right now is showing that area of snow, some of it mixed with rain down in the Albert Lee area from Rochester back through Albert Lee, just south of Mankato, on up to Redwood Falls to St. Cloud, and then back over into Wisconsin. There are winter storm warnings out in effect for our viewers in western Wisconsin. 4 to 6 inches of accumulation possible there. You're going to want to keep an eye on the weather situation. Our forecast, traveler's advisory for the Twin Cities and southeastern Minnesota, cloudy and windy conditions, diminishing to flurries by later this afternoon, high of 35, low of 17, winds north 15 to 30. We could see a little bit of blowing snow later in the day today. Flurries will be ending with decreasing cloudiness tomorrow, a high around 30. The extended outlook, fair skies Saturday and Sunday, clouding up again as that Pacific system moves in on Monday. Highs from 30 warming up to 37 degrees, lows 10 to 25 degrees. With the warming trend, Bill, I hate to say it, but I don't think this first snowfall stands the likelihood of staying with us, though I could be wrong.
You know, it's a good thing to keep in mind this time of year, too. The wild animals have kind of a tough time. If you like the songbirds around in the summer, give them a little help around this time of year. CCO's Big Bird got into the air because Dale Dovish gave it an extra feeding of that aviation fuel today, and she's doing yeoman service for us today, right, Dale?
Oh, yes, it is, Bill. We're still out checking traffic, and surprisingly enough, things are moving along very, very well. Highway Patrol and Traffic Management are both reporting no accidents or incidents. Everybody appears to have slowed down a little bit and is taking this first snow shot pretty much in line. Actually, traffic's moving about 40 miles an hour on all the freeways, and freeways are clear. The snowplow people have been out and done just a marvelous job overnight. And as we said, things are moving along very, very smoothly, just a little bit slower than normal, and otherwise no reported problems anywhere in the metropolitan area. So we'll keep an eye on it and get back to you with an update in a few minutes.
Okay, a suggestion to employers that they understand if their employees are a bit late today. Incidentally, all White Bear Lake public and parochial schools closed today. Many other schools in the Twin City area are going to start late. The Metropolitan Transit Commission says many Twin Cities bus riders should prepare to wait a little longer for buses next year and pay a higher fare. The Commission spokesman says it's either cut services and raise fares or go broke. Roger Downey says federal and state cutbacks have forced the Commission to limit bus services accordingly. Downey says 600,000 miles will be cut by the end of the year, but most of that reduction will be in the form of less frequent service. Only a few outlying routes are expected to be eliminated. Next year, the Commission will ask the legislature to change a law that prevents fare hikes until 1983. Well, the North Stars escaped from unfriendly Manitoba with a victory over the Winnipeg Jets. Tony Park will have that and more in just a moment.
Zenith says, thank you, America.
You bought 50 million Zenith TVs, so we're saying thank you with instant rebates. $25 on many 19 and 25-inch System 3 models. $50 on 25-inch Space Command TVs, including advanced space phone models.
Zenith says,
thank you.
Thank you, America.
At Winkler TV and Appliance, St. Paul, and Sween Lundeen, Minneapolis.
To grow the world's best tasting potato? Well, first you get yourself a volcano. And after it's through blowing up, you wait, about 65 million years until the soil is just right. Add your perfect climate. Put it all in one place and call it Idaho.
If you want the right potato, you know just where to go. When you find our seed, you know it's real, it's grown in Idaho.
65 million years in the making and worth the wait.
Honey, what's this? Sounds like money.
My Aerowax savings. Aerowax lets me save up to 40 cents, see?
Great.
And it's got a tough, long-wearing shine that's refreshable, too.
Refreshable?
Every time I damp mop, I add Aerowax to the water to refresh the shine between waxings.
Aerowax is like money in the bank.
My bank.
Get Aerowax, the refreshable shine that saves up to 40 cents on the large size.
Warm up those cold floors and save big money with top quality carpet during Menard's Big Harvest Sale. Jute back and foam bag carpet at special sale prices. This multicolor autumn hues cut pile with attached foam cushion, only $2.28 a square yard. And with each yard of any jute back carpet purchased, you get this pad free. The best selection and lowest prices anywhere on top quality carpet from now till Friday night during Menards Harvest Sale.
Save big money at Menards.
Well, Tony, I know the Winnipeg Jets were angry. They were bugged about that 15-2 loss last week. You think that attitude may have cost him?
It might have, because the first 2 goals by the North Stars are on the power play. So, you know, you go out and you take your shot because you're all wound up, and it can backfire. And as Bill intimated, the North Stars ran into a lot of hostility in friendly Manitoba last night, but they kept their cool and managed to beat the Winnipeg Jets 6-4, a week after the Stars had embarrassed the Jets 15-2 in Met Center. 2 goals by Brad Palmer in the third period sealed the victory. Dino Ciccarelli also scored twice for the Stars, and Bobby Smith and Steve Payne each had a goal and 2 assists. The Stars are right back at it tonight in Met Center, hosting the Edmonton Oilers before a sellout crowd, many of whom are turning out to see the NHL's leading scorer, Wayne Gretzky of Edmonton. Gretzky has 21 goals in just 20 games so far this season. A lot of goals scored again last night in the NHL. The Rangers beat Philadelphia 5-2. Pittsburgh 6, St. Louis 1. The Kings 8, Detroit 1. Hartford 8, Toronto 5. Chicago 4, Buffalo 3. And Washington beat Colorado 7-1. That's about 9 goals per game. Welterweight champion Sugar Ray Leonard stiffed about 30 members of the local media yesterday when he refused to appear at a scheduled pre-fight press conference prior to the opening of the Golden Gloves team tournament at the Minneapolis Armory. Attorney officials said Leonard had agreed to appear. Leonard's people said there was a death in the family, and then they said he could not attend because of other commitments. At any rate, he refused to talk to the press even when he appeared at the Armory to do the color commentary for the fights, which were being videotaped for future use. At any rate, 8 teams, 88 boxers in all, there to take part in that 2-day tournament, which features some of the top amateurs in the country, including this guy, lightweight Jesse Benitez, in the blue trunks here, who has already won titles in 3 national tournaments, although he's just turned 18 years old. He won this match last night over Brian Jones to record his 141st amateur victory. He's lost only 10 times. There's Sugar Ray. Jesse fights for the Texas team, which was upset by Pennsylvania last night 6-5. Conrad Sanchez of Texas won this match over Jerry Owens of Pennsylvania in the early going. Again, even though Leonard appeared at the ringside during the bouts, he refused to talk to the media and also refused to stand still to have his picture taken. You get all that money, I guess you can get that way. The Gopher basketball team is preparing for its season opener November 30th against the Yugoslavian international team. They'll start the season on the as the 10th ranked team in the nation according to the AP preseason poll. Minnesota has virtually the entire team back from last year's 19-11 season, and head coach Jim Dutcher says he isn't surprised that his club is ranked the best in major college basketball.
It means to them that they've got some respect from some people that follow the game of basketball, because these are the basically basketball writers, and they're not fooled by it. We know that Ohio State was ranked 3rd in the nation preseason last year and ended up 6th in the Big Ten.
Well, according to the AP poll, Bill, the Gophers' toughest competition will come from 9th-ranked Iowa and 12th-ranked Indiana. And as we expected, Dick Williams, the new manager at San Diego, 3-year contract, $150,000 a year.
Good season for the Gophers. Well, it's been a roller coaster week on Wall Street. We'll check out the latest numbers when the morning report continues.
Share, a nationally recognized leader in healthcare, wants to find out what people know about Share. HMO brochures.
Yes, I'm studying them.
What Twin Cities HMO was first to be both federal and state qualified?
Gee.
First to offer senior care?
Oh, well, give me another clue.
Pioneered HMOs for individuals and small groups.
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
I'd share the answer with you, but...
Almost every employer offers it. Easy name to remember.
Good clothing is a good investment, and it's especially true with the top-name ski wear you'll find at Pierce Skate and Ski. For every family member, Pierce has wide selections of the kinds of clothing that look better, fit better, and wear longer. And the best in skis, boots, and accessories. Ski packages, too. Pierce Skate and Ski, 98th and Pleasant, Bloomington. Open evenings and Sundays.
How would you like to step into the sunshine whenever you want? Like at a summer pool party or a lush island beach, even if it's winter or raining. I do it all the time, because whenever I want it, I've got it with my Spurty sun lamp. I get a healthful glow that makes me look and feel great. So tan with the Spurdy sun lamp, because with Spurdy, whenever you want it, you've got it.
Available at Sears.
Dairyman, if you're not using Arm & Hammer feed-grade sodium bicarbonate, you could be passing up a bag full of money. University studies at peak lactation show milk production up 4.5%, butter fat up 2.8%, fat-corrected milk up 6.1%. The reason? Our bicarb made feed intake go up. And when feed intake goes up, milk production, fat content, fat-corrected milk go up too. Get Arm & Hammer bicarb at your feed supplier. You could make a bag full of money.
It's been a roller coaster week on Wall Street. The stock market fell on Monday, climbed on Tuesday, fell again yesterday. At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial averages were down 6.09. It's estimated a share of common stock lost 16 cents on the New York Exchange. It was unchanged on the American. Gold closed down $7 in New York, while silver lost 2.5 cents. Smokers beware. Today is the 5th annual Great American Smokeout, and across the country, Americans are being urged to give up cigarettes for at least one day. Last year, an estimated 18 million people went cold turkey for this day. People who smoke to calm their nerves might find this a bad day to quit, especially if you're out driving on the freeways this morning. Tony Parker just pointed out to me, Dale, that the scene from the chopper looks like a scene from Dr. Zhivago today, right?
Yes, it does. You know, it's really a radical change. Kind of readjust the eyes here this morning after yesterday looking at green grass. Up over Columbia Heights right now, Bill, and kind of watching some people here trying to make it on the side streets. See, they're obviously having some problems. Now we're widening out here looking at the intersection of 65 and 694. Once you get out of the side streets, onto the major freeways, I guess the word this morning is that you shouldn't have much problem. The side streets, however, are going to cause you some problems until you get to the major freeways. Otherwise, we've got some word of trees down, a few stalled cars around the metropolitan area, but generally, for the first snowstorm, traffic's moving along just very, very well this morning. So we'll pass it back to you. If everybody's going to work, drive carefully, and join us again at 9 to 5 for see what it looks like on the way home.
Okay, Dale, now to check once again with Dan Carlson. We've had enough snow for today in this forecast. Can you drop it from the rest of the day, Dan?
Well, I'm afraid we have to expect at least another 1 to 3 inches in the Twin Cities, according to the definition of a traveler's advisory, which I'll share with you in a moment. We're at 32 degrees in the Twin Cities right now. We have a 92% relative humidity. The winds are from the north at 12, but they'll pick up later in the day, and we have 2907 and rising for our barometric pressure. Our forecast for the Twin Cities is for cloudy conditions today with a traveler's advisory, and of course a traveler's advisory means 1 to 3 inches of snow and difficult driving conditions that may also, of course, be issued for sleet, fog, freezing precipitation, and wind. We're going to have a little bit of wind today out of the north at about 20 to 30 miles per hour, Bill. High temperature only in the mid-30s, 17 for a low tonight, back up into the 30s for tomorrow, with the flurries finally wrapping up, hopefully by tomorrow midday.
Okay, Dan, keep tuned to Channel 4 because we, of course, are going to keep up to date on things. We have this final story for you. What good is a bumper sticker that won't fit on the bumper? That's what some folks in Wisconsin are asking. Seems a state agency printed up 20,000 bumper stickers reading, "Wisconsin exports create Wisconsin jobs." But the stickers extolling exports won't fit on imports, or any small car for that matter. Seems they're too big for the small car bumpers. One state legislator suggests that they may be just the right size for one thing, though, to be plastered over the mouth of the fellow who designed them. That's it for the morning report on this snowy Thursday, November 19th. We'll be back to wrap up the week tomorrow. In the meantime, join Debbie Ely and me for an update on the day's news and the noon report. Watch Pat, Doug, and Dave at 5, 6, and 10. Good morning.